Welcome to Mid-Bay News After Dark, as Colin has so acutely, whatever. I'm tired. You're tired. We're tired. It's been a long day. We've had a lot of government meetings. Stephen Saul having the longest government meeting of us all. This is what we're here to talk about today is the Walton County Commission meeting that took place today, where they ended up hiring Clay Adkinson, county attorney. And I'm here with Colin and Stephen because, frankly, they know more about this story than I do at this point. They've kind of been all over this thing for the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to throw it to you guys, starting with you, Stephen. If you would just kind of take us through what happened today, and then Colin, if you'll interject and just throw like pieces of the past that are important to this as well. I'll just start with the 30,000-foot view. Basically, Clay Adkinson was the interim county attorney for the last 4.5 years. And in that time, we've seen other county administrators come and go. But he's always seemed to stay. He got a final permanent position today. It comes with 4 big things: a $50,000 monthly retainer, a $400 an hour litigation fee on top of that retainer whenever the county gets sued, as well as a 4-to-1 supermajority vote in order to terminate him. And then finally, he gets a cut of the title fees whenever the county buys or sells land. So with all that said, Stephen, go ahead and kind of tell us what happened today.
So I just want to just add, now you did say also $600,000 salary, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was a long meeting. It went till 7 o'clock tonight, just outrageously long, and there was a lot to be said about this item, and the I think one of the items that I'll just bring up is the old item that came up yet again was the conflict of interest. I want to bring that up because that was yet addressed once again, and I think that the commissioners still had some reservations about this. 2 of them had mentioned it. So the concern is that with the new county attorney Clay Adkinson taking that role, he is also serving at Paxton. He's serving at Freeport, and he's serving with as the counsel for Devoniac Springs as well. Again, he in his time to talk about that, Mr. Atkinson said that he was more than in the clear to serve in this capacity. If there was ever a perceived issue that would mean that he could not serve in that role, he would have someone else, I guess, from the firm take over the role. But he said that it just doesn't happen. It's so infrequent where a situation like that would happen. And yet again, he said, to be very clear, that he would not do anything to jeopardize his legal ability or his law license with the state of Florida.
As we're looking at this story, he's gotten this vote. One of the interesting things that you brought up while we were kind of discussing this before this Facebook Live is that it wasn't a unanimous vote. So the vote in order to get the supermajority, right, was a 3-2 vote. And so now they can't fire him unless technically they have a 4-1 vote. Is that pretty much the gist of it?
That's it. To me, it's quite hysterical because I just couldn't believe it. They were talking about Clay Adkinson was saying that not only did Brian Kellenberger, who became the county administrator officially today, he can only be fired with a supermajority vote, which means out of the 5 commissioners, 4 must agree to make a decision. So that is absolutely correct. So he was hired. Clay Adkinson was hired today with 3 votes to two nays, if you will. So they didn't even hire him with the amount of votes that he would need to be fired.
Yeah, and the one thing that I think also surprised me about what you've told me about this so far is that a guy that I would consider maybe not like a cheerleader for Clay Atkinson, but definitely somebody I kind of thought was like closer to his side. Brad Drake voted against this. Can you talk about what the no votes, why people decided to vote no? It was Brad Drake and Tony Anderson voted no. What were their concerns with this deal? Was it about Clay himself?
I think it wasn't, and and I do believe that most of the people in that are present, that are on the commission, they don't doubt his ability because he's been there 4.5 years. They know he can do a good job. He's a bright man. I think that the concern for Brad Drake, who started the conversation, really was about the cost, the price tag for hiring Clay Atkinson.
And I think that's interesting because I looked it up myself. I was really curious. Like, is $50,000 a lot? Somebody had we were working on this story for the newsletter this morning, and Lydia, the person that helps us, our admin person, looked at it and said, like, this really high, amount of this large amount of money that's being paid. And I was like, is this a large amount of money for this? So I looked it up. Okaloosa County pays its law firm, so they have access to a lot more lawyers, right? They pay them $52,000 a year, but they're also 3 times the size of Walton County. But as we know, Walton County has a lot of litigation in its recent past. Bay County, I think, is a little bit more than that. But Colin, I've never heard of a supermajority vote to fire a county official, a non-elected official. Have you ever heard of anything like this actually getting implemented?
It's very rare, and my knowledge of this area, with being in news for the past 4 years, I haven't seen anything like this in Okaloosa or Walton County. I assume that this has happened in other parts of the state. I tried to research it very quickly before we came on, and I have not found any other municipality in the state of Florida in the past year or so to do something like this, like we just saw in Walton County.
This is, in your mind, or based on what you know, I mean, as a political scientist, is this legal? Is this constitutional? Because in my mind, I think that the only way that this thing works is if you get a 4-1 vote, that isn't. I think Alan Osborne, Dad or Stephen, said, this doesn't feel democratic. But I also think to myself, like, how can you guarantee a 4-1 vote when a 3-2 vote could reverse the 4-1 vote, and then they could just vote 3-2 to fire him, right?
Yeah. So if you dive in the legal textbooks in the state of Florida, Florida county attorneys are considered constitutional officers, and they are only removable either one of 3 ways. Either the county commission votes to remove them, the governor suspends them, or it goes to the Florida Senate and it's kicked over there. But we have to dive deeper into the Walton County Charter. I don't know if the Walton County Charter permits this. Obviously, if they do allow the supermajority, the charter allows this. But a simple 3-2 vote to approve does not legally bind Walton County in any way to where they might get in trouble for this process.
So in theory, this 4-1 thing could maybe not even be a 4-1 thing.
Correct.
Okay. Stephen, what else did you see in this meeting? I mean, there were plenty of people that were talking. I mean, what was this, a 6-hour meeting?
It was a very long meeting. And again, like I told you when I first started reporting Walton County, they ought to charge admission to get in there. It is that hysterical, and sometimes it's a little embarrassing, but at other times it's very entertaining because your jaw drops.
Yeah. So what made your jaw drop today?
Oh, I think that there was a gentleman that came up, and I want to look to my notes here, named Matthew Morrall, and he started talking about the hiring process and really defending Clay Atkinson. And Commissioner Drake, I thought was pretty impressive, who keeps up with social media apparently, had seen that what Mr. Morrall had said before the dais today was in direct opposition to what he had said the day before on social media, and Commissioner Drake called it to count. he brought it up,
Okay.
and it was amazing. I was surprised because I really, to tell you the truth, I kind of admired the fact that he was aware of it and he called the guy on the carpet. Many other people were really offended by it and thought and said, we need to just call the question. Let's get to a vote here. And there was just anger and the chairwoman, Commissioner John said, she was trying to reel him in and saying that he could not say that to a constituent, to a citizen. And he said, no, I really can. So the challenge back and forth, it's amazing. And, other people in the audience said, this is embarrassing for the county. It's embarrassing if people see the way that businesses run. But it is never a dull moment.
Yeah. And Colin, in the story this weekend that we worked on and put out, just yesterday, holy moly, it feels like it was like last year. We talked about the other applications for this position. So Commissioner Danny Glidewell was on the record saying like, hey, nobody wants this job basically, except for Clay Adkinson. He's the only one that can do it. And if we don't do it, we're basically up a creek. And so we put in a records request, and it turns out 5 other people wanted the job. Can you tell us a little bit about the different people that applied? And that's just wanted to make sure that you're in the chat telling me not to have a repeat from earlier this week. But tell me a little bit about what we were doing. I just totally lost the thread.
Yeah. So I'll take over. So at one of July's meetings, Stephen did some great reporting. We used that in our article yesterday, where Commissioner Danny Glidewell basically explained that the county had no viable alternatives other than Clay Atkinson. He said, quote, if Clay told us today he was not going to stay here anymore, we don't have an alternative, so we need to move fast and quickly to confirm. But Glidewell also noted during that meeting that county staff explored alternatives and they found no applicants for the position. But over the weekend, Mid-Bay News obtained records and we found that 5 people applied for this position. One of them, Catherine Blankenship Jordan, was actually in attendance. And she requested her say on the county agenda. She had 3 minutes to pretty much basically sell herself to the county commission, and without any questions from the board, she gave her piece. She wasn't offered any questions, and basically she turned away from the podium and went back into the audience. It just seemed like they rubber stamped Clay Atkinson before the meeting ever began. But I think the real issue is that Commissioner Danny Glidewell, who voted yes to approve Clay Atkinson, said there were no alternatives, but yet there actually were alternatives, and there was no formal interview process for any of these people. Yes, they may have applied, but Ms. Blankenship Jordan told us at Mid-Bay News that there was no interview for her position whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's the other issue, is that these 3 positions, the CFO, the county manager, and the county attorney, all report directly to the commission, right? So most county employees, most of the 600, 700, 800 county employees in Walton County report to a manager, right? But at the top of that, bureaucratic pyramid are these 3 positions, and they're hired and fired. Those are the only 3 positions that get hired and fired by the commission. And so for them to not see any of these applications that were solicited online, right? So if you went on the Walton County website up till about a week ago when they took it off, there was a place for you to apply to be the county attorney. And I guess in theory, if you have a law degree and you can practice law in Florida, you can apply. I guess you could probably do it without having those things. You could still apply. But the county, from what I can tell, based on their conversation today and based on their conversations in the past, they didn't see any of these. And if that's the case, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and isn't about a month or so ago, the Walton County Commission was under fire for its hiring practices, for not following, standard HR procedure when looking to bring on a new applicant. They would hire from within, but they wouldn't open up the interview process. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this is a continuation from what they just came under scrutiny for a couple months ago.
Yeah, guys, I mean, this is going to be a busy one, and I know that we're going to work together to get this story out in every painful detail. I mean, if we're going to be at this thing for 6 hours, we better get a good story out of it, right?
Well, he had Stephen had a long day. He had Freeport this morning as well.
I forgot about that. You're doing Lord's work over there.
And in some breaking news, so Fort Walton Beach Council meeting went under 3 hours today. So,
oh wow!
Praise be to the journalism gods that I don't have to be up that late tonight.
Oh, you didn't want to stay up till 1 a.m. watching?
I don't get paid by the hour.
That's fair.
I get paid by when things are done.
Fair enough. And so, any parting thoughts on Walton County? I mean, I'll just say this for Niceville. Niceville was great. Niceville City Council was fantastic. Everybody was congenial. Nobody got fired. There were some good stories, but not like this. So I feel like I got the best out of the three of us today. So how about that for me? Any final thoughts on this Walton County thing that's going on?
I'll just add one thing that in the same meeting, the next agenda item, Brian Kellenberger was confirmed as the county administrator, and he also received the supermajority clause in his contract where it will take four votes or 80% to terminate him as well. I will tell you that he received a complete support of all five. He got a 5-0 vote to accept his contract and officially hire him today. So that was a big day for him and a big win. There's a lot of favor with regard to what he's done already in the first month. He was really supported well by Clay Atkinson as well. There's just great support for him by the public today as well. So that's a feather in the cap, and that was what you like to see. Didn't have a lot to complain about there for Brian. It was a good day.
Colin, any final thoughts?
Yeah, what an interesting Walton County Commission meeting. It was. I offered to help Stephen today out with Walton County Commission. It was my first Walton County meeting, and I would say 2 months since I got here to Midday News. So it's glad to see that nothing has changed in the past 2 months. But we have a lot of cool things coming to Midday News throughout this week. We have Crestview budget. They held their first budget meeting, so we're going over that. Fort Walton Beach had several topics that are of interest to the community. We also have some football previews out. Mosley and Gulf Breeze completing the Niceville District 1-5A, and we also have some Walton County schools getting football previews as well. So a lot of interesting things happening at Midday News this week. And it's only Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. And here's the other thing, and I don't want to brag on us, but I will, because why not? This is about a 20-minute broadcast, which means that it took us 1/12 of the amount of time that the Walton County Commission decided to discuss this thing for. So not for nothing, but we also threw some football in there for you guys. Yeah. Good work, guys. I'll see you guys soon. And if you have questions out there in the public, or you, Colin or Stephen, you guys can put questions in the comments too. I'll try and answer them, but you guys know better than I do. So put them down in there. We'll get to them as quickly as we can. I'll be monitoring it over the next couple of days, putting in some replies. If you have any questions, of course, our emails are our names at midbaynews.com. Pretty simple. And we'll see you guys soon. So thanks so much for joining us. And